My name is Mary Kay Rummel. In 1959, after I graduated from high school in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is a really cold place, I went into the convent. And there were a number of reasons I did that, but one of them was that there weren't a lot of choices for girls at that point, and I really didn't want to get married and have kids at that time in my life. So I went in, and when I was in training, after training, I had to take a vow of obedience, which meant that we had to do whatever the people in charge told us to do. We called them superiors, and I had a superior when I was in training who hated fiction. And so she would never let us read any books because we had to ask permission. And I would always go in with these great classic books, you know, like Anna Karenina and L'Étranger and War and Peace, and ask permission to read, and she always said no. I could only read what was required reading in my college classes and nothing else in terms of fiction or even nonfiction. So that was really hard, because my whole life that's what I loved to do, was read stories. And so finally, after lots and lots of no's, something happened, and I just decided to read. And so I still remember running over to the college library and just starting to read. And it was very freeing, and that was an really important decision in my life, because after that, I was free to make other decisions and to say no, and eventually that led me to leaving the convent. So that's why that was an important decision, and that's why I wrote this poem about it, which I'm going to share with you. Patterns of obedience. Obedience is the most important vow. Just follow our guidance and you will be holy, they said, before they cut her mind into rough-edged chunks, reordering them, until she became someone who could bow to say, as you will, who could kneel and ask permission to speak, to read, who would fill out a pattern, not her own. Like the muskrat, swimming her one driven trail across black water, as if it were something solid, all day dragging brown ribbons of weeds from her mouth, lidless eyes focusing straight ahead being all there is, the pond already freezing at the edges. Patterns of obedience, beads on a rosary, cold mathematics of life lived behind a snow scrim, held by ice, the way it grabs at tires, clings to gloves, surrounds a soul. Kneeling, she held up books asking to read Kristen Lavensdatter, Anna Karenina, L'Étranger. Each time the superior who hated fiction placed the book on her own desk, denying permission. One afternoon, a cold wind rustled the cover, opened a page before her eyes. Words whispered in that wind, telling her to go forth and read, to never ask again. Snow flecked her black shawl as she ran to the college library, into the basement literature stacks. Through low windows, a slow rise of ground to the cloister, under a vaulted ceiling of protective oaks. At first, she just peeked at books, then read, stopping only to copy quotes and let words furrow her mind. Each book, each quote led her away from the life she was living. That night, a salmon moon leapt over the tonsured trees, a rise and fall lamp in a cracked ice ceiling.